and welcome back to Baking with Bananas, and today I'm going to teach you how to make carrot cake cupcakes. These have amazing texture and they come together really quickly. So let's get started. Alright, first step is we're going to whisk together 1 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of granulated sugar, and to that we're going to add a 1 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of ground allspice, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves, which is optional, but it's nice. And now we're going to whisk these together. Next, we're going to add in a 2/3 cup of light olive oil. You could also use vegetable oil, that'd be just fine. And we're going to add a 1/2 cup of applesauce and 3 large room temperature eggs. We're going to whisk this until it's well combined. Before we move on, you're going to make sure you preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, you're going to want to wash and dry your carrots, and we're going to peel them before we shred them. As you can see, we switched graters so we can get the smallest side of our grater for our carrots. Alright, now that we finally got our 1 1/2 cup of shredded carrots, we're going to add this to our bowl, along with 1 cup of chopped pecans, or you could also use walnuts, but this is optional, and a 1/2 cup of raisins. And we're going to fold this together until everything is combined. Alright, now we're going to divide our batter into 18 cupcake liners. Alright, we're going to place these in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted into them comes out clean. Alright, now that our cupcakes have finished baking in the oven, I transfer them to a cooling rack, and you want to let them cool completely while I make our cream cheese frosting. First things first is you're going to want to grab yourself a large mixing bowl for our frosting. And you need to grab yourself a hand mixer. Alright, the first step is we're going to place 3 cubes of butter, which is 1 1/2 cups of softened butter, in our bowl, and we're going to beat it on medium speed for about 1 minute or until it's smooth and creamy. Alright, next we're going to add in 8 ounces of cream cheese. Now we're going to beat the butter and the cream cheese until it's well combined. Next, we're going to add in a tablespoon of vanilla extract and an 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to beat this with our hand mixer until it's well incorporated. Alright, we're going to add our powdered sugar, which is going to be 4 cups, and we're going to add 1 cup at a time, beating well after each addition. A good tip is when you're putting your frosting in your piping bag is to get a large cup and put your piping bag inside and then just put it in like so. And then you have less mess and it's more manageable. Alright, now we're going to pipe our frosting onto our cupcakes, and I chopped up some pecans for a nice decoration on top. And that's how you make these super delicious carrot cake cupcakes. Thanks so much for watching Bacon with Bananas, and we'll see you in our next episode. Bye! One teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of ground allspice. Is that allspice? Is this allspice? Okay, wait, hold on, I'm gonna say it. That was so. Ow! I think I shredded half my knuckle off. Ow! Wrong side. Alright, now that we got our 1/2 cup of shredded, what is this, carrots? Yes. Alright, now that we finally got our 1.5 cups of, Alright, now that we finally got our 1.5 cup of shredded carrot, I keep wanting to say coconut, this isn't coconut. Alright, now we're going to add our 1.5 cups of I can't say this. Oh, my braid's messed up. Alright, we're going to set this aside, and we're going to fill our cupcake liners with cupcake liners. Alright, we're going to set this aside, and we're going to, what are these? What are these? Really? What are they called? Alright, we're going to place these in our oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 minutes, or until a toothpick.